In a video to come shortly, which means the next video, not this one, I will teach you how to build a bulletproof career. Spoiler alert, while this is not an intense exercise, it still requires planning, intent, time, and a little patience. Now, for many of you, the idea of a video like this could be all thumbs up, good to go, let's do this. The response from others could be a little different.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
And that's fair, because you may have found yourself in a situation where, for whatever reason, you may not be working, but you need to be working like today. So before we go deep into the part of the topic that's about planning well into the future, we need to bring it in for just a moment and take care of our peeps who need more urgent help. In this video, I will lay out the 3 things you simply must be doing to get back in the game and put yourself in a position to score a job sooner, not later. Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the Upmarket channel. My name is Larry and you're watching Careers and Companies. So I decided I wanted to make a video like this because in my travels I have found that there are 2 types of people and 2 types of situations when it comes to career management. There are the people who have the interest and the luxury to be able to plan out longer term, and then there are other types of people who, I don't know, just prefer to live in the moment or maybe just find themselves in unexpected situations. And if you fall into that latter category, then I am speaking to you today. For this group, career planning and the job search is almost one and the same. So when it comes to having a conversation with them, the vibe is more like, I need a job. Help me get a job. How do I find a job? And this is a common question that comes to me, especially with graduating students who I teach. It is really bad in their final year. They're in a whole lot of panic. So instead of having the same conversation over and over again, I want to produce this video and just send out the link, and then we can come together for more productive conversations that are about questions and next steps. Now, I first want to say on this channel, we do like to give concrete action steps, but the truth is very little in our working life happens through formulas. And the reason is you're dealing with people in work situations, and while people do have some degree of predictability, that's something we even teach on this channel, the consistency just isn't there. So as much as you might want to, you simply can't turn off your brain and execute these 5 or 6 steps, check all the boxes, and then just sit back and wait for all the magic to happen. And in this video, while I'm still giving you the 3 stages, I'm leaving ample room for you to put your own stamp on them and incorporate your own good sense. So with that in mind, I want to address and change a common mentality when it comes to looking for jobs. So as the first stage in your job search, I want you to move away from thinking and saying to employers, I will do anything. I will take any job that you have. Now on the surface, this sounds like a great mindset to have because it sounds enthusiastic and open, and it can be beneficial in limited situations such as when the job is literally posted as a general helper, so an office assistant, or many jobs that are labor intensive, like in the construction and manufacturing fields. But if the job you want specifically is asking for that, then great. If it is not, do not approach it that way. Why? Here are the ways that this message will be interpreted by employers, especially for professional roles. I'm not good at anything specific. I'm desperate. I don't know what I want. I don't like to invest thought into what I do. I don't see myself as employable to quality employers. I'm only out here to collect a paycheck, which means I'm not invested in learning and growth, so my motivation will probably be low or baseline at best. By the way, this last one is not something you just hear from younger people. You know who does this too? Is older people who have been displaced or booted from longer term jobs where they thought they had security. They are thinking about how to bridge to retirement, and they totally come across that way to employers. And we think it's all about ageism. It's not 100% the story, but that's a conversation that I'll postpone to an entirely different video. So I have been a marketer for a big part of my life, and one of the big things we teach in marketing is to target something. Now, would you buy a product that claims it can do anything for anyone? Now, you probably won't, especially if there's any kind of financial commitment involved. Like, you won't understand what that claim means, and you certainly won't believe it. So there's no trust that this product will be able to do anything, literally anything, well. So when you try to appeal to everyone, you'll resonate with no one, as we say in marketing, unless you have built up a long history of doing many things for many people. And really in life, that's rare. So be extremely careful about letting this mentality creep into your communication. It will ironically limit you far more than it will open up opportunities. And it will tell employers that you want the simplest, lowest paying job available, and that's not doing yourself any favors. The next phase, and this happens before you even put yourself out there, is to develop a firm sense of yourself. Okay, Larry, what do you mean by that? What I mean is three things. Number one, understanding your value. Number two, understanding your nature. And number three, knowing what it is that you want, or at least what you like. So let's start with the first one, which is understanding your value. And that alone is a loaded one. Why? The value we can offer employers comes from many more ways than what you might imagine, and I'm going to cover most of them off in this video. Also, we all have value, but most of us are aware of only a small percentage of it. Heads up, I'm probably going to need to produce more videos on just this to explore all the different dimensions of value more deeply, but for now, let me give you a solid outline of exactly what it is you need to tackle. If you've been following this channel at all, you've probably already become familiar with the 5 basic workplace behaviors, noting that one of the 5 is an undesirable behavior that we try to avoid. So considering value in these terms, a simple way to look at your own value is to start with the basics. Are you loyal? And do you come to work every day? So for hourly wage jobs and entry-level positions, this really matters. Next, are you great at just completing tasks? Do you generally do your job well? And how do you know? Do you have examples of excellence in anything you have ever done? Even if you have no work experience, you can tap into hobbies, school, extracurriculars, volunteer work, literally anything. I remember working for a company once that gave credit to an applicant for having been in a band, suggesting that this requires motivation, creativity, and teamwork. If you do anything and you do it well, that counts for something. Organizational citizenship. Do you remember that term? Do you contribute positively to the work environment or to your academic environment by supporting others, promoting efficiency, or strengthening the culture and the social bonds? Think of examples in any of those ways where you've made a difference. These are often extra activities and behaviors that will signal to employers that you are willing to go above and beyond and make positive contributions. The other, and the most important way that I want you to look at value is more through the traditional lens of how recruiters and hiring managers see it. So here's a healthy list of what I would call the value drivers. And I want to point out a few important things here. So not everything in this list will be on a job description. For example, you may be warm and genuine. You may be funny, athletic, or attractive. And none of these things will be in a formal job requirement. But don't kid yourself into thinking that these things don't matter. They are socially attractive qualities, and work is a social place, and hiring is a social experience, all I'm saying. Now, I want to break this list up into 2 groups. The first group I will call the screening group, and the second group is the selection group. And if you want to get a job, you need to bring value in both groups. The screening group, work experience, education, and credentials, only gets you through the initial filters. Those drivers only get you in the door, but they do not seal the deal. The selection group items are what you'll actually be selling on the job. So this is the area that we need to figure out the most. For so much of our life, we just do our best in any situation and we see where that gets us. That's the lizard brain that I talked about in a previous video. But what we tend to not do is debrief on events in our life to catalog our shining moments. So unless someone has pointed out your value, you likely have an incomplete sense of what you have to offer. So now is the time to do a full audit. And honestly, I would spend a few days at this if you can. Think back to any successes, moments of brilliance, good deed, any behavior, any time when you've accomplished something or simply made a difference in that moment. And for each one, ask yourself what you brought to the table. Was it a skill, knowledge, a fun attitude, optimism, a certain ability such as creativity, communication, or problem solving? Anything applies. Many of us have worked on teams. If you worked on a team and the team did well, what specifically did you do? Did you help organize the team? Did you bring creative ideas to the table? Did you resolve interpersonal conflict to keep the team tight? Outside of teams, did you convince someone of something and show influence? Did you take initiative in doing something? Did you tackle a difficult conversation to maintain or advance an important working relationship? Dig and mine into every moment of your life as best you can to remember and find all of those great qualities. You can ask classmates, teammates, coworkers, anybody for feedback on what they appreciated the most about you and your work, but be sure to collect examples. If you can go through this reflection and you do it thoroughly, you can come up with a lot and you will start to see trends. And that will give you enough ammunition to elevate all of these skills and personal qualities in your resume, and you will be able to tell great stories in job interviews. You want to be showcasing your toolbox, not just spitting out some random list of duties that you did in any prior job. Now, here's a fictitious example of upgrading your resume to do just that. Bring forward your skills and abilities to connect them to your successes, and they will be taken seriously by employers, and much less so if you just list them out in a separate section. Now, I know we like to do this because the words might get picked up by an applicant tracking system, but once someone actually looks at your resume, they're going to completely disregard a section like this because anyone can type out a list of impressive sounding words that has absolutely no context. It's not just skills and abilities, it's all the other selection factors. Do you have a lot of knowledge on any subject? What do you nerd out on? Are you reading, listening to podcasts, or watching YouTube videos on any relevant subject that you can talk about at length? You want to bring all that stuff up. Are you networked? Do you know a lot of people, and do you maintain many professional relationships that are pretty tight? Now, I have a friend who got a senior job at a media company that was wanting to sell its services to chief marketing officers in the Toronto area. Well, it turns out she knows them all. So that was the separator beyond the fact that she was well qualified for the job. And finally, your personal attributes. Start with your personality. I have a video on just that, and I will link it here somewhere in this video for you. Check that out and do a personality test. Everyone should know their Big Five personality type because it's a gold mine of personal strengths. Maybe you're high conscientious, which could mean that you are a self-starter and results-oriented. Maybe you are calm under pressure. Maybe you're warm and friendly and a real hoot to be around. Just personality alone, wrapped around behavioral examples, will give you a whole lot to talk about. Use everything to your advantage. There's this rule out there that you should never put your picture in your resume. I say, if you take a great picture, knock yourself out. It's an asset, or at least make sure you have a prominent link to your LinkedIn page where you have a flattering professional photo. If you speak well, if you're interesting, if you're really funny, shoot a YouTube video where you expand on your resume and tell some really interesting stories that elevate your assets and your skills. Employers will be even more convinced and they will be drawn to you. It all matters. Guys, I'm racing through these examples, but this is where you need to spend your time because this is where you make your money. Analyze yourself thoroughly to determine where you stand out, where this might fit considering the job that you're applying for, and just show it all off. And don't overlook your general nature, your temperament. How do you understand and regulate your own emotions? We call that emotional intelligence. Can you read the room and determine exactly how you need to behave in any situation? Motivation. Are you internally motivated? Do you have a lot of drive? Do you have a healthy motor that just fuels your life? Maybe some juice that you bring to your work and your relationships on the daily. I explore all of that in a separate video on motivation. Feel free to check that out. What else? What values do you bring to the table? Are you honest? Are you fair? And do you hold yourself accountable? What is your ethical compass like? Are you trustworthy? Now, I have some powerful stories in my history where I took an ethical stand in situations where it was not advantageous for me to do so, and I paid the price each time. But you know what? I have zero regrets. I did not sell out. Now, I will do a separate video on ethics and values, and I'll tell all of those stories maybe at that point. Anyway, I think you're getting it. Hopefully you're seeing where I'm going with this. All of this stuff. These are all tools and assets for you to take to market as a part of your toolbox. Please leave a comment if you have any questions about this reflective process. If you got to a certain place and then maybe you're stuck, or especially if you have come up with some amazing discoveries. Others will benefit from these examples and it can help get the ball rolling on their own analysis. Okay, we're going to pause for a second to just have a tiny bit of straight talk here. Some of you, hopefully not many, may go through this entire reflective process and come up somewhere close to empty. So you're going to have a conversation with yourself about exactly why that is. And you can't simply point to a lack of work experience as the root cause. If you're at least 16 or 18 years old, you've had that much time on this planet to show yourself off. So maybe you've caught yourself doing the bare minimum or just following orders from someone who really isn't focused on your development. When you're put on teams for school projects, are you a driver or are you a passenger? If this is where you are at, you might have to start at a more humble level with lower paying and simpler jobs and build yourself up. So please watch my next video when it comes out on how to build yourself and get that bulletproof career. I'll direct you to be more intentional on the job and in your career, and that will boost your value. If there are any of you who are not up for this challenge and you find yourself with little value to promote, you may end up in danger of becoming desperate and resorting to unethical or risky behavior. I won't be recommending any of those pathways on this channel, but you can probably guess what they are. My appeal to all of you is to try to avoid this path by working on and elevating yourself. Developing a sense of yourself has one more element, and that is deciding what you like and what it is that you want, at least for now. So for any job that's not minimum wage, employers want to know your position on this because they need to know that you're going to be invested in the job and you'll want to stick around at least for a little while. And if you're under time pressure and you haven't given this a whole lot of thought, this is a really frustrating question. How many of you have been there? What are you interested in? What is it that you want to do? What is it that you like? And we're all like, we don't know what we like because we haven't experienced enough out of life. But you can still do some research. So check out the last video that I just posted on figuring out your ideal career. So there I talk about interest profilers and vocational preference inventories, cool questionnaires that are out there that will spit out a list of jobs that might be a fit, and it will at least get the juices flowing. One thing that I bring up many times on this channel is the power of curiosity. That is your gateway to growth. If you want to remain stuck in one place, be interested in nothing. If you want to figure out anything in life, you have to understand it. In order to understand it, you have to be curious about it. So be interested in yourself through the reflective activities that I give you. Be interested in others if you want to build a network and maintain professional relationships. Just be interested in what's going on in the world. Be interested in how organizations work. Be interested in acquiring job-specific knowledge. As I mentioned in a motivational video that I posted earlier on, you can develop an experimenter's mindset. There's no major commitment. You just immerse yourself into something, anything, for a few weeks and see if you like it. Experiencing things, that's how you know. And get used to operating this way because this is going to be a lifetime pursuit. The world is changing rapidly and significantly, and we will have to adapt our skills and our knowledge to keep up. I think I mentioned in an earlier video that I'm going to be starting a course from Harvard, actually in just a few days, on how to lead organizational transformation into agentic AI. And I'm really into it because I love the marriage of business strategy, internal operations, and people. It's right up my alley. Never stop. Always plan to keep it moving, as we love to say here at Upmarket. The last phase in your job hunt involves putting yourself out there both literally and figuratively, online and offline. Employment is a social pursuit, as I said earlier, so especially if you are highly introverted or struggle with your self-concept, you might have to push yourself a little bit outside of your comfort zone. But before you take that leap, you simply must get your messaging right. Your message is your core communication point from which all other communication is developed. And I want you to think of your message in two ways. First is as your introduction. So this will be helpful for networking, for job fairs, or any situation where you're presenting yourself to an employer. It also forms the foundation of things like your cover letter. So your introduction should include 3 efficient items: who you are, what you are offering, and to whom. All right, so let me give you an example. I am a high-achieving college graduate that wants to apply my innovative thinking, strong teamwork skills, and knowledge of artificial intelligence to established medium-sized organizations looking to adopt AI and build its internal competency. Okay, a couple of things here. There has to be some teeth to this, right? Something to make your audience raise an eyebrow, at least, in a good way. So no generic, I'm a hardworking, aspiring marketing manager who is enthusiastic about working for a growing tech company. Also, this can't be a load of BS, right? So if you bust out an introduction like the one I gave you, and then you get the, oh, so you're a high achiever, what have you achieved? Or what's the most innovative thought you've tried to get people behind? And you're all like, I don't know, then you're in trouble. So this is not a ChatGPT concoction. This needs to be efficient, even a little interesting, and certainly authentic. The product of thoughtful reflection that if you are currently unemployed, you absolutely have time to do. The second way to frame your messaging is using the power of 3 that is really common in business. So giving people 3 memorable takeaways in a lecture, a business presentation, a networking conversation, resume, anywhere is usually the best way to get people to remember literally anything. Again, think that way about yourself. What are 3 things you want others to remember about you? And make sure they're good. This is where you really see where you're at based on the work and the reflection that you've done to this point. If your points are generic and weak, then you better have attributes like charisma or any sort of personal appeal. Failing that, you're on a longer path, I think, to getting the best job. You will benefit, I think, though, from my next video on building a bulletproof career, which starts with putting yourself out there in new ways to get the necessary lived experience. Until then, you're targeting simpler jobs that may not command the salary that you might be looking for. So what are your 3 messages that you have come up with that you want every single person that you come in contact with in the professional domain to take away about you? You can do anything in Excel in 20 minutes. You never miss a day of work. You frequently receive messages of praise from customers. You have been rated above average in every performance appraisal in your last job. You can double social media following inside of 6 months. You are a fan of the industry of the company that you are applying to, and you've written all these blog posts about it. Now, these messaging points need not be mind-blowing, but they just have to matter to the employer. So I was talking to one of my classes about this a couple of years ago, and a few weeks later, a student stayed after class and he told me that he used this technique to land a part-time job with Nike. So the interviewer happened to ask him if there was something he should remember about my student. And he said, you tell me once to do something and I'll make sure it's done every time. My student thought that the interview was going like okay up until that point, but when he answered that question, the interviewer, according to him, sat back in his chair and just went, wow. And it was only a few minutes later that he was offered a job. So I don't know if this is what did it, but my student seemed to think so. Okay, you have your messages. Now you need to take them to market, take them out to the people in networking, interviews, resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn profile, everywhere. And be consistent with it. That's called building a personal brand. And interestingly, once you've done this exercise, the answers to all these timeless questions about the job hunt just start to fall into place. An example, resumes. How many conversations have you ever been a part of? How do I make this resume look really good? What info should I put in it? What order should I put everything in? Well, none of these questions get answered perfectly unless you know your 3 key messages, or at least the best 3 messages that line up to the description of the job that you are applying for. Craft your resume first to elevate your key messages. If education is not in your top 3 or 5, put it at the end. If creativity is a key message, integrate your creative pursuits heavily into multiple bullet points that are prominent. That's, in short, how you build a resume. This is where generative AI can actually come in handy by helping you design your existing resume around these bullet points, or to use it as a check to ensure that the messages are clear and obvious. I would also give your resume to a friend or a professional contact who has some sense of the type of work that you are looking to do. Ask them to read your resume for no more than, say, 5 minutes, and then come back to you with the top messages about your candidacy that they are taking away, and make sure that it's a match with what you're intending. If not, fix it. Interviews, you can apply those same messaging principles there. So I'm going to have more detailed videos on resumes and interviews, but I will say that clarity on messaging is almost half the game. So ensure you get your messages across during an interview one way or another. As you get more experience interviewing, you will weave 1 or more messages into your answers pretty seamlessly. Or if you don't find an easy opportunity, offer it up as a summary of what you want to be remembered for at the end, and be prepared to give examples or more detail in case you are asked. Putting yourself out there also means being present online and offline. We all already know that the job market is mostly hidden, and that taking applications is oftentimes the last resort for most companies, but there are ways to get ahead of the pack. In the digital space, there are a few mandatories. You can pursue your subject matter interests, or at least investigate them online. Every day, read or watch one thing in your area of interest. Post something thoughtful about it, or maybe join in on a conversation that's happening within a group. If you really want to go for it, you can start a blog or maybe even a YouTube channel. Like, I'm doing this because I really enjoy and want to help people, but I'm also thinking there could be some business opportunities that could happen as a result. We'll see where it goes. When you're on LinkedIn, as I said earlier, you can join some groups that interest you and maybe just start contributing with some simple, low-risk comments. but you want to work yourself up to the level where you can contribute meaningfully to the conversations that are hot right now in the professional social media space. That will get you noticed. And when you start getting follows or subs, this is a really good sign because it might open up the door for more one-on-one networking. Speaking of networking, yes, this is one of the most important ways to put yourself out there. And again, I will produce a dedicated video with more details on the entire process of networking. But for now, let me give you a healthy dose of perspective on how to best think about networking so that it works for you really well in both the short term and the long term. First thing, your network is something that you can draw from only once you have invested in it. It's like going to the bank and trying to make a withdrawal when you haven't deposited anything yet. You invest first, withdraw later. So if you want a job today, the only network that you can realistically draw on is a network of people that you know now. And not only do you have to know them, you have to have either helped them in the past or really impressed them. People will not help you if they neither feel indebted to you, nor are they convinced that introducing you to their friends will reflect well back on them. Otherwise, forget it. So I have some students who don't come to class, who earn a solid C in their grades, who don't really engage in the subject matter, but then later on in the semester, they will find out that I know some recruiters. And then they're like, hey, can you get my resume to them? And I'm all like, no. Next thing, you build your network more quickly if you, yes, help people, if you, yes, show off your skills and talents, but also through curiosity. People love to talk about themselves. So anyone you plan to meet in business, research them and ask them questions about anything to do with their professional life, about them or their work. It makes people more interested in you. And there's a saying, interested people are interesting people. Being and staying in someone's network reflects on their personal brand. So if what you bring to the table doesn't boost their perception among their colleagues, those people may be reluctant to help you. And that's why some people get ghosted through the networking process. So what I can say is that networking is rarely transactional. Like you meet someone and there is this instant result. It can happen, but again, only if you find a way to support their objectives or you really hit it off instantly and you impress the shit out of them, like basically on contact. It's hard to do, but some people are able to do that. The average person just won't have that kind of immediate success. That means that networking for most of us is going to be a long-term play, but it's never a bad idea to just get out there and circulate because you're going to need the help and the support again at some point in your career, and you're going to want those people to be there. Well, there you go, kids. Those are the key steps, all of which I think are doable. Now, if it's a huge pain in the arse for you to even fire your resume out indiscriminately into the digital darkness, then yes, what I'm offering you here is going to feel like an epic project. But you know, really, it's not. You just need to get over the hump in building a habit out of reflecting on your value and setting yourself up to succeed. Investing in yourself is always worth it. It's simple ROI. You get what you give. But I know it's frustrating, especially in today's job market when it feels like nobody is hiring. And I know it was way easier when I was younger. Now it is different and much more complicated. But if I can leave you with some final words of wisdom, it would be this. The problem is not so much that nobody likes you, it's just simply that they don't know you. And the doors start to open once you take the steps to better understand your own self and then share that properly with the rest of the world. So please, keep learning, keep working on yourself, keep reflecting, keep growing, and keep it moving, as we love to say here at Upmarket. And if you can, please keep watching as we have a lot more to share. Please click like and subscribe for more content, which is coming your way real soon. But until then, have a spectacular day, everyone, and we will see you in the next video.